Well, an unfortunate result for Vancouver Canucks in this one against the Nashville Predators. A pretty rough game, honestly. All things considered, the Canucks didn't put out a great performance. They allowed the first goal once again. They scored two, and it's just not enough at all. A pretty sloppy performance, a pretty uninspired performance, where a few players played well and the rest seemed lazy. They seemed off kilter, and the Canucks fall once again 2 games below 500, another loss on home ice. We'll break this one down for you guys, and then we'll take your thoughts, your opinions. I already see some opinions pouring in the chat here. So let's break this one down. It's Demko, it's Saros in net. First period, Höglander takes a penalty 5 minutes into the game. Canucks rough penalty killing continues. The Canucks penalty kill entering this game was at 70%, something like 27th, 28th in the NHL. They lose the faceoff. A point shot from Roman Josi gets past Miller, gets past Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Thatcher Demko literally never sees this. It's 1-0. That makes it 6 straight goals that the Canucks have allowed on the power play. None at even strength for 6 in a row. It's just the penalty kill is just a disaster at this point. So the Canucks do get some good work going. They do draw a penalty. Fabro gets called for hitting Pettersson kind of awkwardly. And then the Canucks give up a grade A shorthanded chance. It's Juno going in on a breakaway against Demko. And it's a problem we've seen in the past as well so far this season. Canucks just giving up bad odd man rushes on the power play. And they did it like multiple times every power play tonight, but we'll get to that. It was a waste of 2 minutes, 0 shots on goal for the Canucks. They then get a great chance late. Höglander, Horvat, 2-on-1. Horvat's all alone. Saros makes a good save there, but the Canucks do finish the first period with some style. It's Connor Garland finds Brock Boeser on the left dot. He just baits UC Saros. He draws him in. He's like, oh, I'm going to shoot it. Oh, I'm going to shoot it. Saros comes out a little bit. He goes quick to the backhand, tucks it in on the forehand. Sick little dangle. A beautiful goal. Ties the game at 1 late in the first. A goal the Canucks needed in this game. Those late period goals, always a backbreaker for the other team. Now, we go to the second period. Quinn Hughes has an early chance, joins the rush, rips it off the post. There's a delayed penalty coming up at one point. Myers fires a backdoor pass to Höglander, who's robbed by Saros. And then Phil Tomasino comes out of the penalty box, gets a breakaway, doesn't get a great shot off, but Hamonic and Hughes just get straight up beat on this one. And then we have a Brock Boeser chance that goes to the crease. And then 10 minutes on the clock, Bo Horvat finds Niels Höglander. He's cutting through the slot. And then he does the exact same move as Brock Boeser. Waits him out, waits Saros out, does a little tuck, undresses him completely. His first of the season. Surprising that it's his first of the season, considering he's played pretty well. And it is 2-1. So the Canucks finally playing with a lead, but just 2.5 minutes later, Quinn Hughes, just a bad pass to Elias Pettersson in the offensive zone. He hits the back of the Predators' net. With that, Quinn Hughes stuck deep in the zone. Brock Boeser forced to cover. But Matt Duchene just straight up beats him. Bad defensive play from Boeser. He goes forehand, backhand on Demko, and we are tied at 2. The Canucks then got another power play chance. And again, they did absolutely nothing. They're 0 for 3 at this point. Tyler Myers had a terrible giveaway in his own zone. And then Demko had to make a marvelous save on Tomasino. And then Tyler Myers takes a penalty. Minute and a half to go, a bad tripping penalty, just not his best period by any metric. And then Phil Tomasino, who's had a couple of chances. He had the breakaway. He just had a chance a couple minutes before. He finally breaks through, gets a cross-crease pass wide open in the face-off circle, fires it over Demko, who's sprawling, trying to slide over to his left, can't make it in time, and it's 3-2 for Nashville. We go to the third period then, and the Canucks finally have their first successful penalty kill of the game, which was great, finally. And then they get another power play opportunity, 7 minutes into the period. And then another shorthanded breakaway given up. It's Colton Sissons this time. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why they keep giving up odd man rushes on the penalty kill, but it's a continued trend. I think the Predators had more scoring chances than the Canucks did while the Canucks were on the power play tonight. A disaster special teams wise. So they're 0 for 4. 10 minutes in, we have Pettersson making a beautiful pass to Vasily Podkolzin, who got absolutely robbed. UC Saros had an excellent game. The 2 goals he gave up were exactly the same, but when he needed to make big saves, he did. Podkolzin absolutely robbed. And then the Canucks get a late power play. Again, it's Cousins clinging on to Hamonic in the corner, kind of wraps him up, hugs his arm. Canucks need to convert on this one. and they don't. This one was at least a little bit better. They, after the penalty ends, they keep up some pressure for about a full minute after. Demko goes to the bench with under 2 minutes to go, and the Canucks, again, don't really get anything going. So penalty killing, power play, special teams in general continue to be the story. The Canucks go 0 for 5 on the power play tonight, and they go 1 for 3 on the penalty kill. Let's go to pluses, minuses. I don't have a lot of pluses. The Boeser and Höglander goals were great. The hands on both of them. I thought Pettersson had a pretty good game, but I do have a lot of minuses in this one. The first one is that they allowed the first goal of the game again, and they have continued to allow the first goal of the game. I don't know the exact stat. They are now, 11 games in? It's probably like 7 or 8 times they've been scored on first. It's so hard to play from behind. The team that scores first usually wins in the NHL. I thought Travis Hamonic didn't look great tonight. He didn't look as good as he did in the first game of the season where he looked fine. Back on Tuesday, I thought Hamonic had a pretty rough game, especially when he was paired up with Luke Schenn. That pairing did not work, and they went away from it pretty quickly, which was good. They put Hamonic back with Hughes because him and Schenn were an absolute tire fire early in this game. Passes were sloppy. We saw a lot of passes that were just out of reach of people. We had a Tyler Myers, Connor Garland sort of 2-on-1, and Tyler Myers passed it like 3 feet in front of his stick. We had a lot of passes that were just in skates, out of people's reach. It's the NHL, and it's a tight game. You're down 1 in the third period. You got to be making those crisp passes. You got to be, giving yourself chances to come in on the rush instead of just bobbling a pass, having to dump it in, and then changing. But the biggest one for me was just sort of a lack of urgency. It seemed like a lot of the time the Canucks were waiting for pucks to come to them. I noticed there was one occasion where it was Oliver Ekman-Larsson, I think, behind the Canucks net, and the puck was like slowly trickling behind the net, and he just stood there and waited for it, and a Nashville forechecker almost came and stole it from him. It was just waiting to make plays, giving up pucks, losing battles. It was just a rough performance in a lot of regards here. With the 2 bright spots and the 2 goals, but it just felt like it was just sloppy. There wasn't a lot of crispness, and there was just sort of a lack of urgency. The biggest ones, though, it's the special teams, guys. The special teams is now at home. They've played 5 games at home, of which they've lost 4 of them. They are 1 for 20 on the power play on home ice. They are rocking a 5% power play conversion rate at home so far. I do want to pull up the stats and see where it's at, because I think it was around 70 last time we looked. I don't know if it's updated on the NHL website yet. NHL website has it at 15.8. I think that's what it was at after last game, if I'm not mistaken. So it hasn't updated yet. It's going down more. The biggest thing on the power play, though, 5 power plays. They had 10 minutes of time of this game. 1/6 of the game, the Vancouver Canucks were on the power play. They had 3 shots during that time. 3 shots on the power play tonight. If the Canucks have been on the power play the whole game, you multiply that by 6, that's an 18-shot pace. The Canucks were producing basically half of the shots on the power play than they were at 5-on-5. Absolutely terrible. It's terrible. And it's the same story that we see every single game at this point. They're 15.8 before this game, 24th in the league. I'm sure they'll drop down to 25th in the league, probably leapfrog Detroit in the wrong direction. Something needs to get corrected here, because the Canucks are then going out. They go 1 for 3 on the penalty kill. They allowed 2 power play goals to the Predators tonight, and that's the difference maker, right? The Predators had 3 power plays this whole game, and they go 2 for 3. If the Canucks convert on 1 of their power plays, 2 of their power plays like the Predators do, it's a whole different game. They get a point or they get a win, and that's just it's not acceptable for this team. A team with this much skill that you can go and put at a power play 1 of Pettersson, Miller, Boeser, OEL, Hughes, Garland, Horvat. All these guys are on your 2 power play units. You should be converting at least at like a 22% clip, right? 22% would be middle of the league. It would be 15th in the NHL. They should at least be doing that. But when you couple up a power play that's converting at under 15% at this point, and a penalty kill that's producing at under 70% at this point, it's just not a recipe for success. You can play however well you want at 5-on-5, but when you're in games that are decided by one goal, special teams often makes the difference. All right, that's kind of my spiel for this one. We are going to go into your questions. I don't have the program open yet to do so, so I'm going to try to pull that up as quickly and seamlessly as possible. So this is a good time for you to get your thoughts in, get your questions in as I quickly set this up. And we are almost up and running. There we go. We are up and running. Just like that. Okay, let's scroll up to the top and let's get some of your thoughts. First one that came in, dysfunctional doorknob saying Travis Green has to go. Something has to change. I always say that I'm not sure if coaching is the answer, but nights like this kind of lead me in that direction. And I mean, look, we had a lot of fun after that Rangers game. The Canucks went out and they stole the game against New York, and it was excellent. The ending of the game was phenomenal. The Thatcher Demko sequence, the goal by Miller in OT. However, maybe if Demko doesn't make that outrageous sequence of saves, the Canucks lose that game and it doesn't hit overtime, right? And then we're talking about this game even in a more negative sense because the Canucks have then lost 5 in a row at home. So the Canucks get bailed out by Demko last game in a game that they could have lost to the Rangers, and now they go out and they lose tonight to the Predators in a pretty bad performance, and they have been really bad on home ice. And I don't know what the reasoning is, but something has got to change before things get out of hand, because again, they can steal points every once in a while, but they're going to just fall further and further down the standings. Monotone Cube saying power play is embarrassing. 100% agree. It is totally stale. It gets absolutely nothing done. Katie agreeing, saying we need a new special teams coach. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be separate between power play and penalty kill, and neither are working. Maybe they just need to switch roles because, I mean, they're allowing so much on the power play. Maybe maybe they can flip something around. I don't know. It's not working out very well. Blitz saying this Canucks team might have the biggest discrepancy between 5-on-5 and special teams play I've ever seen. And I think that's valid. I think at 5-on-5, the Canucks played fine. It's not like they got very much outplayed by the Predators tonight. And I do want to look at Natural Stat Trick and just see what the 5-on-5 numbers were here. At 5-on-5, they didn't update it after the... Oh, maybe they did. Yeah, I'm looking at the wrong thing. So at 5-on-5, just expected goals, Canucks were at 47%. So a pretty even game, right? If you just look at it analytically. However, you include special teams and the Canucks dropped to 43% with almost an entire goal favoring the Predators. Expected goals tonight were 2.6 to 2. So basically exactly what the score was if you round up. And yeah, the special teams, the discrepancy is absolutely enormous. They go out, especially, they put the Lotto line together. They put Miller, Pettersson, Boeser on the ice together, and they go out and they look good. They look solid. They generate scoring chances. And then you put the same 3 players on the ice and you take a player away from the other team, and it gets so much worse. It's absolutely mind-boggling. They have not had a power play goal in a long while. Who knows when they're going to score another one. Sonny saying purely a coaching issue. Players play their hearts out and get 5 power plays, and the same players can't get more than 2 shots on net. I don't buy it. The coaching staff is absolutely amateur. Yeah, again, I totally see the point. I see your reasoning. Again, I think a lot of it comes down to the players do need to execute at some point. But when we are seeing the same thing over and over again, and like was mentioned, the jarring discrepancy between 5-on-5 play and special teams play is mind-boggling. I mean, especially because I just mentioned, right, at 5-on-5, expected goals was pretty close, and then you account for the special teams and the gap grows, even though the Canucks had 2 more power plays than the Predators. It's crazy. Sonny's saying the only reason the Canucks have the record they have is because of great individual efforts. Otherwise, we'd be last in the league. I don't know about last in the league. Buffalo would have something to say about that. Chicago would have something to say about that. But yeah, I mean, look at the 2 goals tonight. They're great goals that were made possible by really good individual plays. And again, there's things that lead up to it, and the Canucks did have other chances, right? There was the chance where Podkolzin got absolutely robbed off of a great play from Pettersson, and again, that goes in. Our mood's totally different. But yeah, it's there's something going on here. Agam saying, not worried as the only issue is the special teams. It should be an easy fix, right? You'd say that, but then why hasn't it been fixed yet? If it's such an easy fix, we are now 11 games into the season, 6 on the road, 5 at home. Yeah, if special teams was so easy to fix, you'd think they'd just fix it, right? And again, we can look at it and be like, oh, it's, we want to see it be more dynamic, or just do what Connor McDavid does. And speaking of Connor McDavid, that goal was nuts that he scored. But if they don't do it, then it can't be that easy, right? So I don't know. Crispy Assassin saying the same thing. Can't expect to win if special teams are this bad. Monotone Cube saying, if I was betting, I'd be feeling nervous. This does not look like a team that's going anywhere near the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, again, it really comes down to special teams, right? They're one for 20 in the last 5 games at home on the power play, right? Let's say they're 5 for 20 and converting it 25%, or 4 for 20. Let's say 20%. That's 3 more goals that they score on this homestand in which they've been losing games by a goal, right? That might be 3 more points. That might be 3 overtimes that these games go to, right? That adds up really quick. If I just pull up the last few games, we look at them here. They have literally lost them all their home games. They have been 1-goal games, right? You add 3 power play goals, you add 4 power play goals, and now suddenly 3 or 4 of those games go to overtime. Maybe the Canucks get a winner in overtime, and they have 4 more points in the standings just based on that alone. Or they allow less shorthanded goals, or less goals on the other team's power play. So again, there's the special teams really accounts for a lot. Matab saying, how long until we potentially see significant changes to the roster or team? I don't know. Again, I think they're going to really try to stick it out. Because I think they are good enough 5-on-5, and I think they're probably looking at it like, oh, we just got to fix our special teams. That's easy. But I don't know. I don't know how significant a change we're gonna have, right? Because I don't think adding a player does much, right? And it's gonna be hard to add a player at this point in the season. I don't know. Does replacing a coach do a lot? Maybe. But it's tough to predict. It could be a couple of games. It could be months from now. It could be next year. I don't have an answer. Agam saying the defense, which we thought was terrible, has been a strong point on the season. I think they've been fine defensively. Again, the defense is giving up odd man rushes quite a bit and a bit of sloppy play, but I think they've been fine. High T saying, I was surprised the coach was brought back after taking so long to re-sign him. I was wondering if a new coach will improve team play for a full 60 minutes and stop them from playing from behind all the time. Look, there's also something to be said for just some sort of change. We see it a lot of times in the league where a team will fire a coach, bring in a new coach, and you'll get a bump, right? Whether or not this new coach is better, there's usually at least a bump. And maybe it's maybe it's one of these and then it goes right back to where it was, or it goes lower, but sometimes you get a little bump and you go higher. So I wonder if they'd make a change for the sake of making change. Quattrop saying, please stop playing Chason on the power play. Played dies on a stick. Yeah, he had a couple where he just lost the puck down low, which have killed plays. But again, I don't think it's just Chason that's the problem. I don't think Chason is the reason that the team only has 3 shots on 5 power plays tonight. I think you could put me out there and I wouldn't have that much of a negative impact, right? So I think, because again, if Chason's absolutely useless, it's still 4-on-4. So I don't know. I think it's more than Chason. Sean BC is livid right now. Can't lie. I mean, that's fair. This is a game that the Canucks could have won pretty easily if the power play worked it out. Blitz saying, I think we're 0-17 on the power play in the last 4 games or something. Yeah, I don't remember the exact number. I just know that they're 1 for 20 at home so far. High T saying, which goalie holds the record for being pulled to tie a game in a single season? That's a great question. It feels like Demko gets pulled a lot, and it's because all of the games the Canucks lose are by 1 goal. Literally. They lost to the Sabres by 3. They lost to the Red Wings by 2. And every other loss has been by 1 goal. So most of those games, the goalie gets pulled. Travis Green says, fire me. Nice. Lefty saying, too many individual players playing individually right now. Team has no unity whatsoever. I don't think that's totally fair. I don't think that's true. I think individually, like, sure, players might be trying to do a little bit too much themselves, but that's what happens when you're losing games. I think they've made decent plays. I just think things aren't working, especially, a lot of it is just special teams at this point. Kai saying at this point, neither Boeser or Garland should be on the third line. It's time for Pearson to move down. I am starting to agree here. I know that Travis Green likes to have these sort of pairs. Like we have sort of Miller and Boeser together a lot. We have Pearson and Horvat together a lot. Yeah, I think I like Pearson. I do. And you mentioned here that you love Pearson as well. I think Pearson's a fine player. I like his drive. I like his mentality. I just think he's a third liner. And I think he doesn't bring enough to that second line to justify not having someone like Garland there. So I would agree here. Hope saying they probably would have won if they didn't have any power plays, and it might be true. Yeah, they were performing at a much better rate and giving up less chances against when they were at 5-on-5. Timmy the Tambourine saying, I think we need to stop calling it special teams. Just say it especially bad. Especially bad teams. Yeah, it is especially bad. That is fair. Lefty saying Pettersson's playing terribly. I thought Pettersson was fine tonight. He had, again, I guess I might be kind of jaded by that one really nice pass to Podkolzin. I thought he had a couple of iffy moments, but he looks like he's getting his confidence back at least. I'm seeing sort of a slight increase there. Again, he's not himself yet though, but I think he's on the up and up at least. Pravin asking where Dickinson was. Didn't see him much today. I noticed him a little bit. He played 10 minutes. Here's something that's crazy. Vasily Podkolzin played more than Chason, Dickinson, Bailey, and Lamico tonight. And Shen. We did it. Vasily Podkolzin's getting ice time. As in almost 11 minutes tonight, and Podkolzin was great. But yeah, Dickinson played just 10-25, 29% in the faceoff circle. Yikes. And the Canucks didn't have a lot of time shorthanded, so Dickinson didn't get as much time partially because of that. Terrence saying 1 for 20 on the power play. How is that even possible? Well, no shots are getting to the net, right? Like I said, 3 shots tonight on the power play. You can't score. Andrew just asking, don't the Canucks have a power play coach? I think so. You wouldn't be able to tell though, would you? Marjorie asking why are face-offs so bad now? I don't know. I don't have a good answer, but they were losing most of them tonight. 41% in the face-off circle for the Canucks tonight. I mean, another thing to keep track of here, if you look at the other stats here, right, like hits were 21-18, basically even. Giveaways were 6-5, whatever. Blocks in this game, the Predators blocked 28 shots. The Canucks blocked 11. Some good John Tortorella hockey over there in Nashville. I thought Pettersson was working on face-offs, asked Agam. Well, he did have a nice 0% night. I don't know how many he took, but he did have 0% in the draw tonight. Rod saying it looked like Miller didn't agree with King's plan during the timeout. I wasn't looking at the screen during the timeout. I was getting all my stuff ready for this, so I wasn't watching during the timeout. I took that as an opportunity to prep the stream. Calvin saying Podkolzin was electric. Every time he touched the puck, they seemed to gain control again. Maybe they need to give him a longer look on the power play. Podkolzin seems like the absolute perfect guy to have on power play 2, to be honest. Like, he fits in with that vibe really well. However, that's a vibe that I wish power play 1 had, right? That higher intensity, more mobility, more dynamic, a little more panicky almost. Yeah, maybe he could have a longer look, especially on the power play side of things. I'm going to keep scrolling here. Fangirl saying the Canucks pass more than they shoot pucks. And it's frustrating. Yeah, I mean, that's been a real problem with their power play, right? Again, 3 shots. Travis Green wants to trade JT Miller, according to Travis Green. To trade Miller for picks, 2 years remaining, value be as high as we can ever get. Start now, why not? Because that's not what their MO is. Their MO is to make the playoffs this year. That's their goal. So trading Miller doesn't help you do that. We can debate all we want about should this team be, selling. I don't think you trade him now. I think you wait till the deadline at the very least. to see if this team pulls it together. But I think, you know, if we do get to the deadline, the Canucks are multiple points out of the playoffs. I'm sure there will be talk about JT Miller getting traded. Timmy putting his lines in there. Let's keep scrolling here. Sonny's saying, just feel like the players don't have the right plays to execute on the power play because the same players look so much better 5v5. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Totally agree. Lots of people saying they wouldn't trade Miller. Yeah, and again, I think you don't trade Miller until the trade deadline if things really are falling apart for the team. Debut saying, at what point does supporting the Canucks add more value to your life than the disappointment it creates? I mean, that's something you got to look at yourself, right? If it makes you upset more than it makes you happy, it might be worth backing off. I decided to make this a thing I do, which kind of puts more at stake for me, right? Because one, I want the team to win because I like watching the team, and I want the team to succeed to make the playoffs. And then I also want the team to win because it makes these more fun. So I'm kind of doubling down on it, and it hasn't been a great start on that front. Kai saying for Pettersson, he thinks it's more of a mental thing than rust. I agree. Yeah, no, it does seem to be mental, and it seems like he's overcoming it. So I'm getting less and less worried at this point. Keegan saying too much dump and chase, so much dump and chase. Yeah, well, there's a lot of it. I'm not going to argue that. Casket saying we need a power play like Edmonton. And again, yeah, that's the one I always go back to. I agree here. It's just such a different style. It's such a more exciting style, and it works so much better. What's Edmonton's power play up to now? 46.4%. Oh, it just updated after tonight's game. The Edmonton Oilers power play is at 50% this year. 50%. That's so absurd. The Vegas Golden Knights are at 0. Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. Travis Green, I'll keep it more positive. I honestly think Höglander can achieve much more than everyone seems to anticipate. I can't see a reason why he can't at least peak at a point a game. Yeah, I think Höglander has been really impressive. Again, I was surprised that this was his first goal. It didn't feel like it of the season. I mean, how many points does he have? He has 4 points now, a goal and 3 assists. But he has been really good. You know, he might only get like 35 points this year, but I think he's playing at a higher level than that. And if we do see a point in his career where he's playing 20 minutes a night, and he's at the top of the lineup, which he definitely could be. Remember, he's only 20 years old. He turns 21 in a month and a half. He's still so young. So yeah, I'm very, very bullish on Nils Höglander. Fangirl saying, is it possible that change happens in the next month at least? Things would have to really spiral down. I think they'd have to go on like another 3 or 4 game losing streak without a lot of winning before that, is I think what it would take. Blumen saying, positive or not, the team's not living up to its potential. I agree. Lots of people talking about Höglander. Jacques Paul saying, if the Canucks don't win the next 2, it will be the worst homestand ever. Yeah, it'd be what, 1-6? 1-6 for a team that's supposed to be a playoff team? It would be up there for sure. Manuel's saying we have skilled players on the team. Feel like they're trying to follow the system too much. Need to be quick and shoot it. Yeah, I think we're all kind of on the same page there. You know, lots of people just upset with the system, and there's not much. It's hard to blame much else, right? Because again, we do see the skill that these players have, and it's just, you know, not working out. Joggerball saying, do we play better on the road? I mean, they have, I guess, but I don't think you can chalk any of that up to it being on the road or at home. I think they've just been playing kind of bad. See that saying, still find it so weird that teams like the Sharks and Ducks are ahead of the Canucks in the standings. Teams not living up to its abilities. Yeah, I mean, if we look at the standings here, we have the Sharks are 6-4, the Ducks are 5-4-3, and the Canucks are still last in the division, right behind Seattle. Once again, both teams are at 4-6-1. Yeah, it's just not good enough. It's just not good enough at all. All right, we are going to wrap up here. 30 minutes on the nose. Nice little short one for the night. We'll be back Sunday night after that game. And then, of course, Canucks After Dark on Monday night. If you enjoyed the stream, you want to go back and listen, it'll be on your favorite podcast platform of choice, and you can just rewind this video. Leave a like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter at ParkersPucks. Go click all the links in the description as always. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Hopefully we have a better result on Sunday against the Stars and then against the Ducks next Tuesday. Hopefully we have a couple wins to talk about and they can kind of salvage this homestand and maybe 3-4 instead of 1-6. We can hope, hopefully. All right, that's it. Thank you guys. Have a good night, and I will see you next time.